Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Manitoba is a smaller province, so maybe we don't talk about it enough, but it truly has one of the most abusive, authoritarian premiers in the whole country in terms of the lockdown. Do you remember how awful he is, Brian Pallister? Smearing, defaming businesses in public that didn't comply fast enough or hard enough with his whimsical lockdown rules.
If you break the public health rules, there's a good chance you might get your name mentioned on TV.
Pallister literally boasted that he was the most abusive lockdowner in the whole country.
We're on this and we've been on it for some weeks. The reality, though, is that, we have to reduce the number of contacts, and that's why these very stringent restrictions, the most stringent in Canada, have been invoked for a long time.
Absolutely stupid rules, too, like taping off the wrong section of a store because science.
That is why today we are here to discuss new and stricter measures, including limiting residential gatherings to your household only, with exceptions for essential services, limiting retail operations with new capacity limits, and ensuring that only essential items are purchased in person.
I can tell you the Manitoba cases in our Fight the Fines project are the ones being prosecuted the most abusively in all of Canada. What did Manitobans ever do to deserve this? Well, take a look at this. These are the stats of COVID cases by province. This is Ottawa's chart, because Manitoba's chart doesn't show you charts that are actually meaningful. They don't show you statistics like hospitalization rates over time or death rates over time. There's a reason they don't show you that. Instead, they just talk about cases. And this is the federal chart, which is only slightly better. If you scroll over Manitoba and select for the count of deaths in the last 14 days, as a chart, you can see the numbers have plummeted since flu season over Christmas. Down almost 90%. Nothing to do with the vaccines. Those numbers plunged before the vaccines were offered in the last month or two. So what's the reason to panic and to get cruel and demand that people take experimental drugs that haven't even been fully tested yet? Why? Why is that the measure that Manitoba uses? They'll talk about cases, not hospitalizations or deaths, and they'll demand a certain number of people taking this experimental drug. Why, when the province is so much healthier now than it was a few months ago, now that things are normalizing, now that we know that the disease targets the old and the sick and not the young and the healthy, why are we pushing the experimental meds on even children now? How is that the measure for what we should do or not? Isn't health the measure, not juicing sales for big pharma? But now look at this. Look at this press release. Manitoba launches new secure immunization cards for fully vaccinated people. New approach recognizes importance of immunization to protect people, safely resume activities. Pallister. But no, the death rate plummeted before the vaccines. People can safely resume activities. Look at Texas or Florida for proof of that. I'll read some more. Fully immunized Manitobans will now be able to travel without having to self-isolate for 2 weeks upon return with a new secure immunization card that will be available to people 2 weeks after they have received both doses of a COVID-19 vaccine, Premier Brian Pallister announced today. So your civil rights, your charter rights, they don't depend on whether you're a citizen or even if you're a healthy citizen. They don't depend on whether you, for example, may be naturally immune to the disease because you got the disease and recovered from it. And your civil rights no longer have to respect your conscientious views. You simply have to take the experimental meds if you want to be free, even if you're healthy. Oh, and you have to show everyone who asked you to prove it. Many Manitobans have rolled up their sleeves over the past few months and done their part in protecting our province, and I want to commend them for doing so, said Pallister. Manitobans have told us that getting back to the things they love and miss is one of the biggest incentives to getting vaccinated. As a government, we're doing everything we can to bolster vaccine availability and accessibility and equipping Manitobans with the information and support they need to make the right decision to protect themselves, their loved ones, and the community. Hang on. Who gets to make the decision? Because this doesn't let people make the decision. This is the government punishing and rewarding people. The government's making the decision. The government is choosing to deny people their civil rights if they make the wrong decision. Brian Pallister's made the decision for them. He's giving and taking away their freedom based on his decision, not their decision. The digital and physical cards contain no personal health information or data. Rather, the cards only show the person's first and last names and a QR code. When scanned, the QR code will show the person is fully vaccinated. Well, hang on. So do they have that information or not? Even in the press release, they're lying. So anyone can scan the card and see your intimate private health details. Did you have an injection or not? Why are they saying there's no information in the card if there is? So if you got the virus and you recovered and are naturally immune, that's irrelevant to whether or not your QR code comes up, right? Take the drug. Even if you don't believe in it, take the drug. If you're young and healthy and think the risk of the drug is higher than the risk of the virus, take the drug. Or hey, it's your decision. You just won't be able to go places, see people, leave your house from quarantine. Pretty soon you won't even be able to work. How long until you won't have the right to rent an apartment? Because your landlord will say, oh, he's not vaccinated. That's an excerpt from my daily show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.